Hey everybody, this is Rykard here again, and welcome to another Pokemon Moveset video for the new Pokemon introduced into Pokemon Sun and Moon, the 7th generation. Today's video is going to be all about the new flying type Pokemon Toucannon. So let's start off by following our nose wherever it goes and taking a look at this Pokemon's typing, abilities, and stats. So to start things off, Toucannon is a normal flying type Pokemon that possesses 3 abilities, the first of which being Keen Eye, which is an ability that makes it so that you cannot have your accuracy lowered, and you also ignore evasion boosts from your opponent. As for its next ability, it is known as Skill Link, which is a very useful ability for any Pokemon that has multi-hit moves, such as this one, because it makes all of those attacks hit for their maximum amount of times. For example, a move like Bullet Seed will always hit for 5 times, which is very cool. And as for its last ability, which is this Pokemon's hidden ability, it is known as Sheer Force, which is an excellent ability in the fact that it is able to boost the power of moves that have secondary effects at the cost of having those secondary effects removed. For example, using a move like Flamethrower, which has a 10% chance to burn, instead with Sheer Force you get a boosted Flamethrower, but then you can no longer burn. As for the stats though, this Pokemon has base 80 HP, 75 defense, and 75 special defense, meaning that this Pokemon isn't terribly bulky, but it is able to at least take a hit or two if it needs to. As for its attacking stats though, it has a whopping 120 physical attack, meaning that this Pokemon is very powerful from the physical side, and also has a decent base 75 special attack as well, which while not as high, is still pretty useful because of the powerful special attacking moves that this Pokemon has access to. And lastly, this Pokemon has a base 60 speed, which is a little bit on the slow side. However, with the right investment and use of item or boosting ability, this Pokemon will be able to outspeed a ton of things and prove to be a very powerful offensive threat. But with that, let's take a look at the first moveset that I have for you in this video. So for this first moveset, we're going to start off by giving Toucannon a Jolly Nature to increase its speed and lower its special attack, and for the ability, either going with Skill Link or Sheer Force depending upon what type of moveset you want to run. As for the EVs, we're going to put 252 into its physical attack and its speed to max out both of those stats, and put the remainder 4 EVs into its special defense. And for the item, going between either a Choice Scarf to boost your speed, a Choice Band to boost your physical attack, a Life Orb to boost the power of all of your attacks, but give you the freedom to switch between moves, but also losing 10% of your health every single time you damage your opponent, an Expert Belt to boost the damage of super effective moves, an Assault Vest to increase your special defense, or Leftovers as a way of recovering a little bit of HP at the end of every turn. As for the moves though, the first one that we're going to go with is going to be the main stab flying type attack for the set, which comes in the form of Brave Bird. As for the next option though, you can choose either between Bullet Seed or Steel Wing, and this is where the choice between Skill Link and Sheer Force as an ability comes into play. Obviously, Skill Link is great if you're using Bullet Seed, but Sheer Force can also boost the power of Steel Wing as well to allow it to do a little bit more damage. The important thing here though is that we are getting some type coverage versus rock type Pokemon that Brave Bird is resisted by, so either of these options is very useful. In the third move slot as well, you have a choice between Rock Blast, which you'll use with Skill Link, or Brick Break or Flame Charge as a way of dealing with steel type Pokemon that Brave Bird is also unable to hit for neutral or super effective damage. Also keep in mind that Flame Charge will also be boosted by Sheer Force, or if you just want to go with Flame Charge in general as a way to potentially boost your speed on this set if you're not using a choice item, that could be the way to go as well to make this Pokemon a little bit more of an offensive threat by making it a little bit faster. And then rounding off this whole set by using U-Turn as a way to allow this Pokemon to weave in and out of battle a little bit more effectively and potentially gain you some switch initiative. As for this next moveset, we're going to turn Toucannon into a little bit more of a boosting physical attacker. So we're going to use the same nature as before and same EV spread, but only going with the Skill Link ability this time. And for the item, going with Life Orb, Leftovers, or adding in Flyinium Z into the mix. As to the moves, we're going to be going first with Swords Dance or Tailwind as a way to boost either your physical attack through the use of Swords Dance, or your speed through the use of Tailwind. And it's also important to note that other members of your team could potentially benefit from Tailwind as well, but when you use Flyinium Z with Tailwind and effectively used quote-unquote Tailwind Z, the additional effect in addition to obviously putting up the Tailwind is that you actually boost your critical hit ratio, which is very interesting because of this Pokemon having access to multi-hit moves, meaning that you have an even higher increased chance of actually critically hitting your opponent possibly doing so multiple times with these multi-hit moves in one turn. But to kind of start this set off as far as stab is concerned, we're either going to go with Brave Bird or Drill Peck, and I included Drill Peck this time because we are trying to turn this into a little bit of a sweeper set. So if you want Toucannon to not be lowering its HP through the use of Brave Bird, even though it is the stronger option, Drill Peck is still viable. Up next we have Bullet Seed, again for that very useful type coverage, and when used also in combination with Flying EMZ, potentially landing a few critical hits in one turn, which is super awesome. And then for your last move slot, running either Rock Blast, Flame Charge, or Brick Break, just for some more type coverage. It's also important to note that if you use Swords Dance with Flame Charge, you're effectively getting a double boosting set, which is very cool for this Pokemon, and can not only turn it into a more powerful physical attacker, but also a faster Pokemon that won't be as easily outsped by your opponents. As for this third moveset, we're going to be turning Toucannon into a powerful special attacker, which may seem weird at first and maybe not as good as the physical attacking set, but by comparison, in the previous generation metagame, Choice Specs Swellow was actually a very common and very powerful threat, which at the time also boasted a weaker special attack being only base 55 as compared to Toucannon's base 75. So this set is extremely viable and also extremely surprising potentially until it possibly catches on. But for the nature of this set, we're either going to go with a timid nature to increase your speed but lower your physical attack, or a modest nature to increase your special attack but lower your physical attack, and then going with a sheer force ability. As for the EVs, we're going to put 252 into its special attack and speed to max both of those out, and put the remainder 4 EVs into its special defense. And for the item, going with a few options like in the first set, either choosing a Choice Scarf to boost your speed, Choice Specs to boost your special attack, a Life Orb to boost the damage of all of your attacks at the cost of losing 10% of your health, an Expert Belt to boost the power of your super effective attacks, an Assault Vest to boost your special defense, or leftovers to allow you to recover a little bit of HP at the end of every turn. For the moves though, the first one we're going to go with is Boom Burst, which is an incredibly powerful normal type attack, and with the Choice Specs item or even a Life Orb coming off of this Pokemon with max special attack, this move is going to be doing insane amounts of damage. Coupled with the fact that you also have access to Overheat, interestingly enough, on this set, which is another super powerful fire type attack capable of dishing out a lot of damage. Lastly, as far as your special attacks are concerned, we're also going to be running Flash Cannon on this set, which may seem weird, but gives you some really good coverage, especially for the fact that it is able to hit rock types super effectively, which resist Boom Burst, similar to how Overheat hits steel types super effectively, which resist Boom Burst. So Flash Cannon gives you that really great type coverage to round everything out, plus it also will get the benefit of having the sheer force ability by boosting its power a little bit. So overall, these three moves in combination with each other cover a huge range of types and allow this Pokemon to effectively hit a lot of things very hard. And then of course, we're going to round this set off again by using the U-turn move to allow this Pokemon to switch in and out of battle a lot easier and potentially give you some switch initiative. As for this next moveset, like what we did with the first one, we're going to turn Toucannon into a boosting special attacker and even possibly a boosting mixed attacker. So we're going to start this set off by giving it a timid nature to increase its speed but lower its physical attack, or a naive nature to increase its speed but lower its special defense, and then going with the sheer force ability like before and the same EV spread as the previous set. As for the items, many of these choices are similar for boosting your offensive power, but we're also going to throw a white herb into the mix. As for the moves, the first one that we're going to make use of is going to be either Work Up to boost your physical attack and special attack by 1 stage, or Tailwind as a way to increase your speed. It's also important to note that if you are going to run this set mixed, Work Up is definitely the better option of the two, but if you also just want to have a boosting special attacking set, you can use it there as well, or again go with Tailwind just to make you a little bit faster. But for the moves, again going with Boom Burst and Overheat like before, just because of the type coverage they give you and the immense power behind both of these moves. And again, also to reiterate, Overheat as a move does lower your special attack by 2 stages, which is why I'm also putting a White Herb as an item choice on this set, in case you need to overheat something but want to retain your boosted special attack over time. So that is a potential option to keep in mind. And for the last move slot, either going with Flash Cannon, again, like before, to give you that really great type coverage to support Boom Burst, or also going with Brave Bird as an option if you do want to run this set mixed to allow you to damage Pokemon from both the physical and special side with very powerful attacks. As for this last moveset, we're going to run Toucannon kind of as like a mono-attacking scout support Pokemon. So we're going to start this set off by giving it a Jolly Nature to increase its speed but lower its special attack. And then for the ability, it really doesn't matter, but I'm going to put Skill Link on here just in case any of you want to potentially run one of its moves that has the chance to hit multiple times to make sure that they always last for the full duration. As for the EVs though, we're going to be going back to the physical side of things and run 252 physical attack EVs, 4 special defense EVs, and 252 speed EVs, and then going with the leftovers item again like before. As for the moves though, we are going to use Tailwind like within the boosting sets I've shown you, but this is more so to support your team as opposed to necessarily be used specifically just by Toucannon. But for the moves, we're going to be going with just one physical attack as far as our flying stab is concerned, in the form of either Brave Bird, Beak Blast, or Drill Peck. And Beak Blast is a move I have yet to talk about. It is actually the signature move of Toucannon and has a very interesting property to it, in that it works similarly to Focus Punch, and at the start of the turn, like it'll say something along the lines of about it's like charging Beak Blast or something to that effect. And while you are actually charging Beak Blast, your opponent, if they use a move that makes contact with you, will actually get burned, which is a super weird, wacky effect that this move has, and could potentially allow you to have some support through use of this move. The other cool thing about this move is that unlike Focus Punch, this move will go off regardless of if your opponent hits you. So it's a powerful flying type attack to potentially use that will have that extra utility of potentially burning something. Or again, like before, you can run Drill Peck as just a strong option that doesn't have any recoil, so please keep that in mind. Then along with that, we're going to run U-Turn as a way of kind of weaving in and out of battle, potentially switching into something else on our team to make use of the Tailwind. And then lastly, running Roost as an option to allow us to regain our health and stay healthy to potentially set up more Tailwinds throughout the battle. Another way you could also run this set though is a little bit more defensively, though it won't be a super bulky Pokemon, just to keep that in mind. But for the moves, we're actually going to add in Feather Dance as a potential option in that first move slot, just to keep that in mind as a way of potentially lowering your opponent's physical attack by 2 stages, and thus allow Toucannon, if it can even get a burn off through Beak Blast, be able to actually wall physical attackers, which is really cool. Another thing about this set, which I kind of skipped over at first, is we're going to change up the EV spread in nature a little bit by running an Impish Nature to boost your physical defense and lower your special attack, and then running an EV spread of 248 HP EVs, 252 physical defense EVs, and then 8 speed EVs to give you your max physical bulk possible. And that, coupled again with Beak Blast's potential chance to burn, or running Feather Dance, will allow this Pokemon to actually be able to effectively wall physical attackers, which is something that I would not have guessed at first glance upon seeing this guy. But anyways, everybody, that is it for this video, so thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and as always, take care, goodbye, and I will see you all next time.